TNT says, I'm not missing out on this twice. We missed out on this once because Unrivaled is garbage. Nobody watches, nobody cares, nobody pays attention. It's gimmick basketball. We already threw our money out the window and lost out. Damn.
Professional sports broadcasting is a brutal, merciless blood sport. Television networks risk hundreds of millions of dollars on a single promise in an industry based on cold, hard maths. They're betting on people's attention. A network executive is not investing in the passion of the game when they sign a large broadcast contract. They are not funding a cultural movement. They are not attempting to promote a sentimental PR campaign. In order to offer that attention to international advertising at a high price, they are purchasing guaranteed human attention. The mainstream sports media has been pushing a highly sanitized, meticulously crafted story down your throat for the past year. They have made a valiant effort to persuade you that the unexpected, historic surge in women's basketball viewing is a team effort. They want you to think that the American audience has suddenly fallen in love with the entire sports ecology and that the rising tide has lifted all boats. They want you to believe that the fans are paying attention to the traditional product, the senior players, and the legacy stars. However, a horrifying financial reality has emerged behind the closed doors of corporate boardrooms. Network executives have now come to the realization that they were duped out of millions of dollars. The ecology did not win over the public's affection. A once-in-a-century abnormality captured the public's heart. Caitlin Clark is her name. And one of the most disastrous corporate backfires in sports broadcast history has just occurred as a result of the establishment's desperate, frantic attempt to demonstrate that they could continue without her. This is not merely a tale about TV numbers. On the eve of a catastrophic labor war, a rogue gimmick basketball league is purposefully damaging the physical health of its own franchise players in this high-stakes business thriller about toxic arrogance and network panic. To demonstrate that they didn't require Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's seasoned players attempted to establish their own empire. Rather, they constructed a trap, and the walls are closing in quickly. Let's begin by revealing the huge illusion. A group of seasoned WNBA players founded the 3-on-3 upstart basketball league Unrivaled a year ago. On paper, it was presented to the media as a groundbreaking player-owned company that would retain talent in the country, compensate them well, and profit from the enormous rise in popularity of women's basketball. The management at TNT Sports were in dire need of live sports inventory because they were still in shock at the terrible and humiliating loss of their NBA broadcasting rights. They opened their corporate checkbooks, listened to the experienced players' vigorous PR campaigns, and examined the skyrocketing WNBA ratings, operating under a single, enormous, unstated corporate assumption. TNT supplied both the financial support and the television deal. They believed that by funding this league, they were creating the perfect honey trap to attract the biggest players in the world of sports. They believed Caitlin Clark would enter the room, sign the deal, and bring her millions of devoted fans straight to the TNT network. However, she didn't. Caitlin Clark remained at home. She took a nap. She was a golfer. She completely chose not to participate in the superior ecosystem. And the entire financial house of cards fell apart the instant she took her well-considered choice.
Hey, TNT, guess what? We got a great idea. It's going to be a 3-on-3 basketball league. We're going to get Caitlin Clark, but we need your help to do so. We need a TV deal, and we need some financing. If you can give us both, we will land Caitlin Clark. TNT responds, that's all you need? You need some money to go out and get the biggest fish in the pond? Here's money. You want a TV deal? Well, you're going to have Caitlin Clark, so yeah, seems like a win-win. Here's a TV deal. Fast forward a year and a half, Unrivaled.
Pay great attention to the harsh facts of television economics that were just presented. The network bosses at TNT were not merely mildly disappointed when Unrivaled tipped off without Caitlin Clark. They went through complete, unabated corporate panic. The ratings fell straight into the depths. The grand experiment, the league that was meant to demonstrate that veterans could attract viewers solely on their own worth, was quickly shown to be a specialized, unwatchable ploy. After taking a quick glance at the merchandise and discovering that number 22 was missing, the general public decided to entirely check out. Millions of dollars were squandered by TNT on a vanity project that produced no return at all. They thought they were purchasing a cultural phenomenon when they purchased a league, but they soon discovered that the phenomena was connected to a single individual. Network executives, however, are corporate survivors. They refuse to give up. They turn around. TNT discovered they had purchased a fake item right away. They came to the conclusion that advertising spots are not sold by the general notion of women's basketball. Advertising spaces are sold by Caitlin Clark's particular brand. Thus, TNT carried out a brutal emergency audible. TNT would move straight to the international stage to get the golden goose if the domestic players' league was unable to produce her.
Along with Jackie Young, TNT says, I'm not missing out on this twice. We missed out on this once because Unrivaled is garbage. Nobody watches, nobody cares, nobody pays attention. It's gimmick basketball. We already threw our money out the window and lost out. Damn. But this whole FIBA ordeal? Oh, we can cash in here. Yesterday on
TNT's purchase of the FIA Women's Basketball World Cup qualification tournament rights is not your typical business growth. To preserve their network ratings, a desperate and well-thought-out rescue effort is underway. Never again, they declared as they gazed at the smoldering ruins of their unparalleled investment. Because it gives them access to the one athlete who truly makes a difference on a worldwide level, they went out and bought the broadcast rights to the U.S. national team. For the founders of Unrivaled, this represents the pinnacle of corporate humiliation. The television network that first provided funding for their league is now purposefully avoiding them by buying foreign qualifiers in order to experience the explosion in Caitlin Clark's ratings. FIBA is not a specialty item. It's a huge worldwide stage. While the WNBA veterans are playing half-court 3-on-3 basketball in front of minuscule television audiences on a tiny soundstage in Miami, Caitlin Clark is getting ready to enter a global broadcast that will instantly command viewers from North America, Europe, and Asia. It is just astounding how different the scale is. TNT is aware that a somewhat pointless qualifying match between Caitlin Clark and Segal on a Thursday afternoon will receive considerably more viewers than the Unrivaled League title game during prime time. However, television ratings and lost income are not the only metrics used to assess Unrivaled's failure. Human collateral is used to gauge the actual structural breakdown of this whole story. You must look behind the corporate boardrooms and consider the harsh physical reality of professional basketball in order to fully comprehend the scope of the catastrophe currently taking place behind the scenes. The human body is a rapidly deteriorating resource. Professional athletes can only sustain a limited number of jumps, hard stops, and lateral cuts to their knees and ankles before their ligaments' structural integrity starts to deteriorate. Unrivaled was created by WNBA veterans to be a fast-paced, physically demanding 3-on-3 setting. The terrible physical toll that this unregulated gimmick style of play has on professional athletes, particularly franchise bigs who carry more weight and absorb more impact, is something they completely neglected to consider. This takes us straight to Aliyah Boston's terrible, devastating reality. The front court of the Indiana Fever is absolutely anchored by Aliyah Boston. She is the crucial pick-and-roll partner, the best defensive anchor, and the cornerstone that enables Caitlin Clark to perform at her best. She was meant to be standing next to Clark on the international stage, representing the United States of America in the FIA qualifications and demonstrating to everyone that American basketball has a bright future. Rather, she is returning to Indianapolis via plane. Her body was shattered by a league that shouldn't have been in the first place, and her immediate basketball career was completely uncertain.
Well, Aliyah Boston will no longer compete in the World Cup qualifiers after her right lower extremity injury in Unrivaled. Fever PR, Aliyah Boston will return to Indianapolis for further evaluation. Additional updates will be provided as they become available. Aliyah Boston got injured in Unrivaled. Reason number 762 why Unrivaled is a waste of everybody.
Suddenly, while participating in Unrivaled, Aliyah Boston had a lower extremity injury. A generational talent was lost to a pointless summer exhibition league. Her chance to represent her nation on the international scene alongside the sport's biggest attraction. This is the first reason why Unrivaled isn't a game-changing development for women's basketball. The real professional ecosystem is actively at risk from it. The WNBA's real superstars are being physically cannibalized by this renegade, unregulated organization. Aliyah Boston did not sustain any injuries while competing for a WNBA title. She didn't give up her body to win a gold medal. She risked her entire career for a small portion of her true value by getting harmed while performing in a fake television product that no one is watching. However, this serious injury has far more ramifications than just missing an international competition. The enormous concealed power in the upcoming WNBA labor conflict is shown by this injury. The WNBA Players Association is currently lobbying hard for a league-wide walkout. By demanding enormous, unprecedented increases in income sharing and presenting themselves as an unbreakable, cohesive labor force, they are posing a challenge to the wealthy owners. However, infrastructure plays a crucial role in labor talks, and the participants are going to learn that they have seriously misjudged their own vulnerability. The owners will shut down the league entirely if the WNBA players are successful in starting a lockout. That goes beyond simply stopping their bank accounts from receiving direct deposit paychecks. It implies that the league's whole medical infrastructure vanishes.
Now here's the kicker. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. If there's a lockout, if there's a strike, does Aliyah Boston have access to the Indiana Fever medical team anymore? Or does she now need to go find her own means of rehabbing, her own means of getting healthy again? Players need to think about that possibility as well. Unrivaled's all fine and dandy until you realize all the actual...
The union leadership is frantically attempting to conceal from its rank-and-file members the icy, terrible reality of a labor strike. Does Aliyah Boston have access to the Indiana Fever's cutting-edge medical staff in the event of a lockout tomorrow? Does she have access to the multi-million-dollar rehabilitation facilities owned by the franchise? Does the league's all-inclusive health insurance still pay for the top-tier orthopedic care needed to rebuild a top professional athlete's lower extremity? No, is the response. You are completely on your own if you go on strike against the billionaire owners. Unrivaled lacks the medical facilities of a professional sports team supported by a billionaire. They lack the limitless resources needed to identify, treat, and recover from serious long-term sports injuries. The athletes were totally oblivious to the enormous hidden costs that the WNBA pays for them on a daily basis because of the unparalleled upfront compensation that orthopedic surgeons on a permanent retainer, top-notch physical therapy, nutrition, and specialized MRI imaging. That all disappears into thin air. The second is when Adam Silver and the ownership group decide to play a game of chicken with a players' union. In the worst-case scenario, players are actively risking their bodies, jobs, and future earning potential for a fledgling league that is essentially unable to protect them. And that brings us to this business saga's cataclysmic, unavoidable conclusion. The proprietors of the WNBA are observing this catastrophe in real time. They are observing the decline in ratings. As the number of injuries rises, they are getting ready to take drastic measures against the players' union. The owners are aware that the league has received unprecedented funding as a result of the current broadcast rights agreement. With franchise stars possibly making up to $1 million annually, they are getting ready to offer players enormous, life-altering contracts. However, giving out million-dollar contracts without vigorously defending their investments is not how billionaires become wealthy. A WNBA owner will need complete, unbreakable exclusivity if they are to offer a player a huge guaranteed salary.
She was paid the $1 million max. Will you let her play in another league and possibly get injured? Won't teams want to protect their investments? Absolutely. Absolutely. We haven't heard anything about exclusivity, but if I'm paying you $1 million, your ass better not be playing in no bullshit league, especially a 3v3 gimmick basketball.
The kill shot is this one. The corporate elite gains complete, unwavering control over the participants in just this manner. The WNBA owners will include stringent, non-negotiable exclusivity terms in the final collective bargaining agreement. They will make direct reference to Aliyah Boston's injuries. They will give the union a harsh ultimatum and point to Unrivaled's humiliating television ratings. If you're interested in the WNBA maximum deal worth millions of dollars,